Morgan Parker is a man on a mission to ride his motorcycle from Hong Kong to Brisbane, Australia on a voyage that will see him travel through 10 countries and in the process raise awareness about 10 of the most important charities across the region. It's an adventure that'll test his limits during a trip that'll be exciting, dangerous, eye-opening and always breathtaking. Join him each week as he travels wheel to wheel. With all of his massive preparations behind him and the trip underway, we join Morgan as he's stuck at the Hong Kong border. Not quite the start he'd imagined.
I'm a man on a motorbike stuck between two countries. And it's true about Hong Kong and China being one country, two systems. On Hong Kong's side, it was smooth sailing all the way to the border. My guide was waiting for me on the China side. The catch is, there's 500 meters of no man's land in between. Now I'm faced with a dilemma. How do I get to my rendezvous with Gecko and all the school children of Yangshuo? I was behind schedule before I even started. I had the entitlements to go into China. I'd organised that months in advance. I had the right to leave Hong Kong. I'd organised that months in advance. But between the two is a 500-metre road, and there's a permit required to go on that road. And I didn't have that. So there was a major decision to make. I had to make it up to Gecko, but with my bike border crossing in limbo, I needed to find another way. It was time to take to the air, along with wheel-to-wheel colleagues Paige, Lavina, and the Siren film crew. Wheel-to-wheel was always about the charity, so we have to get there no matter how. All I care about right now is getting to Gecko and to those school kids in Yangshuo. Never thought I'd be waiting at an airport carousel for luggage. But there was one more problem, and it was a big one. I didn't have a bike to ride. Amazingly, a friend of mine in China had a friend in Guilin who offered me the use of his motorcycle. It's nice and red. It's in neutral. Yep. The bike feels incredibly precarious. It feels like it's half the weight of me. But hey, we're in China. Can't believe we're in China and I'm riding on this little red rocket. It's awesome. But it didn't matter the colour or the brand of the bike on me. I was riding a bike in China and I just stopped and thought to myself, and I actually said it to myself in the helmet, this is unbelievable. Got it up in the third gear. Let's see what this baby can do. It was certainly cold in Yangshuo, brutally cold in fact, but the town was stunning, with world-class views, plenty of restaurants, and a thriving cultural scene. It was really the perfect place for my first China stop. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Morgan.
Hi, I'm Shelley. Welcome to Yangshuo. Welcome to Riverside Retreat.
And my grand welcome was a wonderful home-cooked meal. We're here at the base of these iconic mountains that represent China and that feature in so much Chinese calligraphy that everyone recognizes them, yet right at the foot of them is McDonald's. What is the world coming to? Cultural contrasts aside, it was just great to be here. The expedition is now underway, and it's refreshing to know that people have the same wants and needs everywhere. It's busy, like it's a Thursday night, about 10:30 at night, and it's busy. And these aren't tourists, a lot of these people are local people. There's people buying stuff. There's a good retail vibe here. By day though, I was transported back to a China I'd always hoped to see. Artists still hone their craft. And in the home, traditional delicacies are still made. They are the sites that I hope are preserved, despite China's continued quest to move ahead in the 21st century. Oh, so fresh. And thankfully, there are still remnants of the beautiful landscape. You can't help but be impressed by these incredible mountains here in Yangshao. These are iconic in the sense that all of China recognises this image, but they're also the livelihood for the people in this area. Not only is it beautiful, but the welcoming from the Yangshao residents is a treat as well. We're in a tourism boat on the Li River, sailing through these incredible limestone peaks. These boats used to be made of bamboo and used to be manually pushed along by the driver at the back. But those bamboo boats have been replaced by PVC piping and a noisy, polluting motor at the back, all in the name of tourism. So there you go, that's the dilemma for this area. How do they keep satisfying a growing number of tourists, but at the same time preserve this incredible environment? It's a tricky dilemma, but I've got to say, the trip down this river is really impressive. Then it was time for lunch in a traditional family home, a real treat, and an incredible feast. At every opportunity during the expedition in China, I was looking for opportunities to connect. You know, I was looking for ways to better understand what motivates and drives the local people. Now it was time to focus on our true purpose, to see gecko in action, educating Chinese students about the environment. I certainly enjoyed seeing Yangshao, but was relieved to finally walk through the school gates. Cars, planes, buses, bikes, boats and walking. We're now here in Yangshao at this school to see the Gecko project in action. We're going to talk to about 110 children and about 30 odd teachers, and we're going to see the Gecko environmental curriculum being delivered. It's going to be fun. Let's go. Now it was time to focus on our true purpose, to support one grassroots organisation in their quest to educate a generation. When Wheel to Wheel returns, I would be thrust into the thick of it. Selecting a cause to support in China was easy. We knew from the outset that Wheel to Wheel would focus on the environment. When it comes to managing the environment, the world's most populous nation has a less than stellar record. And when Chinese students, the future leaders of this country, receive no education about it, it's obvious why the work of the Gecko team is so important.
The whole idea about Gecko started 2 years after I arrived to China. I was doing environmental consultancy at that time for another company, and we were focusing on the metallurgical industry primarily, on wastewater treatments and air treatments, so on an end-of-pipe solutions. And when I was talking to the Chinese owners, which were really good entrepreneurs, fast-growing companies, I realized that how little of common sense understanding on environment there is.
The school is bare-boned and has predictable wall hangings. The students are eager to learn and excited that they are the recipients of a progressive curriculum. Lavina gave the students an introduction to wheel, and we were greeted with a tremendous welcome. And before I knew it, I was in an auditorium telling my story. China is the biggest country in the world. You are about to become the biggest economy in the world. With great size and with great power comes great responsibility. We spent the day participating in the program firsthand, interacting, singing, playing, and learning about the environment alongside the students. Much of Gecko's development is due to Greenovate, a social enterprise based in Shanghai, which recognised the urgent need to educate students about caring for the environment, enabling them to make better decisions in the future. The organisation was founded by Mihaela Hladin, a Slovenian national who has lived in China for 6 years.
We put together a very simple curriculum, and we started teaching it ourselves. Once per month we went out to rural China and taught in the schools. And then during the 3 years the program got pretty popular, so now we are also teaching in the big cities, and we are not teaching ourselves obviously because we don't speak enough Chinese. So we are teaching university students to go out and train others.
Recycling, water management, global warming, fossil fuels and other environmental terms have become commonplace. But in China, these concepts aren't widely understood. The result is the environment is being destroyed. There was a time when China's environment was pristine and beautiful, but by and large, those days are gone.
This morning, we teach the general Gecko curriculum. We teach them the environment footprint. Then we do a very, very engaging environment game, like fish game. The fishes game sent a message to the students that the sustainability is the only way to live. If we exploit the nature resources too much beyond its renewability, so the whole system will collapse.
China now is developing very fast. So environment is a big problem for Chinese people. 21st century environment problem is the first thing, is a very important thing. So we use the education, we open the door for the knowledge people know the environment to come to China to help us. So we'll be cooperation with the international people. So that is good to save China and also save the world.
Everybody is focused on money making, house building. Sometimes they sacrifice natural things for development. That is not a very good sign. We are turning into a tipping point, and more people realize that we should stop doing this.
And just what do the students take away from all this?
学会呢是怎样呢保护环境有利于我们这边的发展，也教会身边的每一个人呢学会保护环境。
我会告诉他们，保护环境必须，先我们要节约用水、节约用电，还有多植树造林。
With such a positive impact, the next step for Gecko is to scale their program to reach even more people.
Teach Chinese university students how to go to a school, and then they deliver the classes. And so far we've reached about 20,000 students across 10 provinces. But we realize that this is not enough in a country where 200 million kids don't get any environmental education. So we're ready to take the next step this year and put our courses online. So over the past months, we have developed an online platform where we can put up courses and also more complex information about the environment for students to learn at their own pace.
Among Gecko's online initiatives is an innovative series of animated lessons that highlight how our daily actions affect the environment. And as I left the Gecko team, I was inspired by their vision for an environmentally friendly China and realised it's not only the Chinese, but all of us who can benefit from their message. In Yangzhou, wildlife beckons at every turn. Iconic views can be found everywhere, and I was impressed how the city maintains its traditions even today. I did experience my share of oddities though. We couldn't leave Yangzhou without seeing one of its most famous attractions, Moon Mountain. I'm here trying one of the local specialties, snake wine. Let's see. And while I enjoyed the view, but maybe not the snake wine, I reflected on the deep appreciation and respect I have for the approach Gecko is taking. It's hard work and they're making progress, but there are no guarantees. We're talking about generational change here. With Wheel to Wheel's help, online lessons are the way forward. Even though I have to leave, we'll be tracking their progress and wish them great things in the future. During our time with Gecko in Yangzhou, I learned that back in Hong Kong, my bike permit to enter China had been approved. So, back to Guilin on the Red Rocket.
I've just ridden from Yangzhou to Guilin Airport with wind chill factor at sub-zero temperature. It's raining. It's a hell of a ride. Very glad that it's over.
A flight back to Hong Kong. A quick transition to pick up my trusty BMW. And a sprint back to the China border, which would close at midnight.
After 45 minutes of action and incredible stuff at the Hong Kong border and then the China border, I've made it into China. The guy in the Hong Kong border told me I'm the very first motorbike ever to come across the border. Of course, there's been groups of motorcycles do it, but I'm the first single motorbike to ever make it through. I'm so happy to now be here in China on this beautiful bike. Awesome.
But as I journeyed west, the streets and villages of China weren't so awesome. In fact, it all reminded me of a post-apocalyptic war zone, complete with factories belching smoke and dust everywhere. It made me realize why Gecko's message is so important. A sustainable and environmentally friendly China was a dream I constantly held while riding through the tough, dusty streets.
What a ride. Oh, it's almost 9 hours on the road. Huge day. Epic day. Really, really challenging conditions. The pollution is really hard.
Another problem I was continuing to encounter was the lack of good food. Between the long hours travelling, getting the mud off my bike at night, and restaurants filled with cow's tongue and pig liver, it was wearing on my body. There's no retail stores in these country towns. There's no restaurant that you turn up with, so it wasn't a question of me being picky and saying, oh, I don't like what they're serving. There were no restaurants, so I went 3 days with no food. It was hard enough finding water. But another day is another day. Amidst grey, cold, gloomy weather, I set off again in my quest to get to Vietnam. Once again, I continued to be stunned by how rural and non-environmentally friendly China is outside its major cities, especially on the roads where I often got stuck. Finally, I reached civilization. Well, sort of. It's just such a filthy place. I'm trying to be positive, but reality is it's grey, polluted, urbanised mess. And when you get out of the cities, it's just an environmental wasteland. There's very, very little character or charm to it. Food was a concern, and sushi wasn't an ideal meal in southwest China. Nor was what happened after. It's not in the room. It's not in my bags, it's not in my jacket. Somehow I lost my wallet. It resulted in lots of panic, but thank goodness for my trusty guide Susanna. Without her, I would never have gotten it back. You found it? Where is it? Oh, yes. Okay, great. Thank you so much. It's at the Japanese restaurant. Thank goodness. It would have been hell to have lost that. Wow.
There's someone. You should say hi.
Oh, thank you so much. The wallet. The next day it was back to the travelling. More mud, more traffic, more roadside stands, ever-present smog, dodgy food, roads that were barely there, and wouldn't you know it, another calamity.
The next disaster is I can't find the key. I'd be laughing if I could find my key. He's had a few drinks, this guy. I can smell it. Turning me down.
And the crowd was eager to touch me everywhere. It made me wonder if my whole expedition was doomed to be as stressful as China had been. And if I don't find the key, I won't be able to find out anyway. Such a simple thing. I parked the bike, we walked down there, retrace the steps, it's gone. Like, it's not like the wallet where we don't know where we've been and it's much more complicated. And somehow, just as quickly as it had disappeared, key was returned. We have resolution of the matter. Mr. Wong had the key. Thank you.
A lot of people, about 20.
All around the bike.
I just look, touch here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for protecting it. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Now we can go to Vietnam. Venturing towards the border, I realised getting across China had been like a rally. Over 1,000 very difficult kilometres. China is one big haze of dust and pollution, where all that seems to matter is economic development and making money. It's my dream the collective fog will one day lift here and China will fulfill its unique opportunity to be a leader in environmental sustainability, with Gecko leading the way. And all I could think of at this point in time was, what next?
And what adventure will Morgan encounter as he enters Vietnam? Find out in the next episode of Wheel to Wheel. For more information, please visit wheeltowheel.tv.